Hello, everyone, and welcome to me complaining about my team for the next 20 to 30 minutes. I think I summed up with what we're going to be doing. Am I correct?
Yeah,
I,
I think so.
yeah. No, for those who don't know, I'm incredibly low on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I get to play general manager. Now, I asked you for the rules set. You said we have to do with what we would do, and I was allowed to fire the coach if I wanted to, but I decided it's so late in the process it'd be stupid. In fact, I'm acting like this, like I'm a general manager that got handed a coach he doesn't want. So that's how my moves are going to reflect. Now we look at the Steelers. There's a couple things we're just going to start off quickly. I'm just going to rattle them off. We're cutting Jalen Ramsey.
All right, so are you already in the managed roster and you're cutting?
I'm already cutting. I'm cutting Malik Harrison.
Okay, hold on. Jalen Ramsey cut, release. Okay, who else?
Malik Harrison, linebacker.
Okay, right here. Okay, release.
Okay. So that will give us kind of a starting ground. Now, we're going to look at the trade market. And you get to play the opposite general manager. Are you ready?
Oh, absolutely.
We're going to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers first. I will offer you Patrick Queen for Jalen McMillan.
Let me look at. So Patrick Queen, 17 million this year.
Which would have a retained cap hit of 6.363.334 million.
Okay. And how much further on his
Queen has 1 year left. So
okay.
if it doesn't work out, the Jaguars can move off him. If they would like to, they could extend him. But they do need linebacker help desperately, and I was coming up with a fair trade. The Steelers clearly aren't interested in keeping Patrick Queen long term, even in real life, and I'm kind of in the same boat. I want to clear up cap space. I want to make the most expensive defense a lot cheaper. And that's
Okay, you had originally said Tampa Bay and then now you just said Jacksonville.
Tampa Bay. Jacksonville also does need linebackers. They're losing Devin Lloyd. They're in Florida.
All right. And we are looking at Who are we looking at?
Jalen McMillan, the former Washington Husky wide receiver.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Um, Still on his rookie contract.
Should have 2
And you're
years
offering
left.
straight across?
Straight across.
I feel, to be quite honest, I do feel that Pittsburgh would try to get a little more compensation than that, uh, just because. But I guess if you're gonna just take it straight across, sure, why not? That's a win for.
I think it's a win for both sides as Pittsburgh frees up a lot of cap space to really address the offense because that's what's desperately needed. They need to get younger on defense, not calling Patrick Queen old or anything. He's actually one of the younger starters off the team last year. But you look at with all the money Patrick Queen's getting paid and you look at the other guys getting paid on defense, you need to free up more money elsewhere to pay offense, and he's one of the cap casualties. Now, we're not done making trades.
All right.
So, are you ready to play Bears general manager?
You do know that Drew Dahlman's already gone, right?
I like the Steelers center, actually. It's one of the few positions I like. I'm going to give the Bears Alex Highsmith for a second round pick, whichever one they want to give up from the Bills trade, because they just got They just got rid of DJ Moore. They have a second round pick that's just open there. They desperately need a pass rusher. Alex Highsmith is on a relatively team friendly contract that the Bears would only have to pay $15 million. And he's still not 30 yet, although he might turn 30 this year. one of those two. He is a good pass rusher. He was actually the Steelers' best pass rusher last year, if you ask me. Significantly better than TJ, and Nick Herbig, I think, was the second best. I think moving Alex Highsmith for fair value, for a low second-round pick that's practically a third-rounder, I think it's fair.
So their bottom second-round pick.
Yeah. It only has one of their picks here, so I'm just saying whatever. But pretty much whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll play ball.
Whoops. I have to cut that out a little bit. I put on my phone and actually had volume up. Whoops.
Yeah, I'll play ball there.
Okay. So, looking at that now, I would have $78 million. You might ask, hey, do you want to rework TJ's contract? I'm not touching that contract. I think it was a mistake to pay as much as they did last offseason. I think it'd be a mistake to really mess with it right now, because you're just going to hurt yourself later on. For a team that does not have a chance to do anything this year, just leave it how it is. Just eat it. Same thing with DK, eat it. Cam, I will keep Cam Hayward and all that because I don't have the heart to move him, honestly. The one thing I would look at is if he does want to continue playing, I would look at extension because he was still an all-pro level caliber player last year. He was by far the Steelers' best player last year. I have no interest in moving off him right now, especially because if I am going younger, I want that veteran in the locker room that can help lead the young roster into its next future realm.
Would you consider instead of an actual extension, would you consider a conversion, which would basically lower his cap hit this year? It would throw it into, a couple of void years, so which would help, put that cap savings over the next 4 years. Because how long do you really think he's going to play?
I honestly think this is probably his last year. But a big issue the Steelers had last year was he didn't like the contract he had. He thought he was getting paid too little. And I would kind of agree. So I think, in theory, moving around Cam's money makes a lot of sense. But in practicality, I don't think he would come close to accepting anything like that.
Well, you're not cutting his actual money, right? You're converting it to cash.
Yeah.
So his salary stays the same. He gets more cash up front right now. And then what they're doing is they're delaying the cap hit through 4 years.
I would just leave it as it is.
Okay.
Looking at other guys, I mean, Joey Porter Jr., I would be interested in extending, and they don't have market value on here and all that. I won't do it in this video because I think it's going to be very interesting of how he fits into Patrick Graham's defense. As Joey Porter Jr. struggles with zone, but is great in man coverage. That's something you very much have to consider. So I'm actually more for maybe delaying it till next offseason, see how he does his new defensive scheme. And if he does get to the free agency part, just franchise tag him, work on a deal then. So that's what I would do there. Now, ready to go to free agents?
Absolutely.
Okay. The one guy I want to keep. Can you guess the one player I want to resign?
Oh, on your team. Hold on real quick. Sorry. I jumped all the way over to
League.
League. All right, here. So let's look at your free agents.
You know, it's nice seeing Jonnu Smith as a free agent. Just something nice about that. Too mean?
Wow. Calvin Austin?
Nope. I would...
Aaron Rodgers?
No!
Okay,
I would re-sign James Pierre. Because he played very well last year. He has some good speed. And I also feel like he is the type of player that if you drafted a guy, he understands the NFL, he understands it's a business, that he would more or less be willing to okay, I get it. You drafted the guy. I'm still going to make him earn the spot. So we're going to just do the market value instead of having to do a whole new contract because I'm not going to come close to the salary cap thing. If I had to guess, he's going to get upwards of $8 million a year. That's what it sounds like. But for right now, he's the one guy going to resign. Now, let's jump into the fun part. What position should we start at? Wide receiver or quarterback? I'll let you pick.
Let's go wide receiver first off.
Ooh, wide receiver. Okay, Steelers fans. No. I actually want to hate Tutu Atwell. But real quick, before we get into this, I have a rule. No third contract. I need young players. I think the biggest mistake the Steelers have done has been shelling out for older past their prime players. Instead, a lot of with what I'm doing is I'm looking at guys that I believe can grow into themselves, that can become better players, that are still entering the best football years. So like we're looking at Juwan Jennings. Sounds fun, but he, in my opinion, is not that. Instead, I'm going to look down, and I'm going to take your guy from Seattle. I'm going to take Raheed Shaheed.
Oh, I thought you were going to take Jake Bobo.
No. I want team speed. He's not the fastest. But looking at Raheed Shaheed, I'm just going to do the market value. With what he brings to the Steelers is a deep threat. He improved as a route runner at New Orleans, even though he wasn't asked to do a lot of that in Seattle. But most importantly, he gets you hidden yards in the return game. And that's something Pittsburgh has desperately been missing, as they've been one of the worst return units in the NFL for a long while.
So what I'm going to say about this is the reason why I did not extend Shaheed is because we both know he's going upwards of $20 million.
And on the Steelers, I have enough money. I would do that.
Okay.
I'm just doing market value for here, but in real life, I would do $20 million for him. So, looking else, I got to double dip in the receiving game. And this isn't going to be a big splashy move. Instead, I'm going to go down, and I'm going to look at a couple guys here. Jalen Tolbert played in Mike McCarthy's system. I like that. It helps a lot. I still really like Tyquan Thornton. I like him so much, I'm going to sign him to the market value, cheap. But we're still not done, because this receiving core needs to be overhauled. I'm going to look at Jalen Nailor here, who you mentioned for the Seahawks. I'm going to mention for the Steelers. I would sign him as well, market value, because the Steelers need to reset their entire receiver room. I, at the very least, have signed 3 capable wide receivers, 2 of which can play with DK Metcalf. You can do 3 wide receiver sets, but most likely Mike McCarthy has a history of running 4 wide receivers out there. We need 4 good wide receivers. At the very least, I'm giving you that. I'm giving you some difference in ability. Raheed Shaheed can do some route running, can take a deep shot. You have more route running ability with Jalen Nailor. And Tyquan Thornton, I just kind of dug him with the Chiefs, and I still believe in him.
So I have a question, just going off of I completely get where all you're saying, but knowing that your head coach does have history with Jalen Tolbert, right? And Jalen Tolbert is a special teams demon, and then he gives you that stretch the field. Why wouldn't you go Tolbert instead of Shaheed? Save a bunch more money, and we've seen Jalen Tolbert actually play wide receiver, and in spot he's actually played well. So I just look at that and I'm like, knowing the system the way Tolbert does of McCarthy's system, why wouldn't you go there just for that familiarity?
It's really just due to the fact of, I just think Shaheed's a better player, and the Steelers have the cap space to go do so. I think Tolbert is a very good player that can make a team better. Do not get me wrong. He's a good return man, and he's a solid wide receiver. But the Steelers don't need a solid wide receiver. They need a number 2 wide receiver, and he does not provide that. And I look at everyone else available on the market for a wide receiver too. I I just can't buy into anyone else. And that's really where I came down to of Shaheed gives me more in the offensive passing game than Tolbert does. Even though you can call him a wash at the return game, Shaheed's just a better receiver. And that's where it came down to.
Fair enough.
Now we get to go to quarterback. Because I'm not going to be patient and wait for Aaron Rodgers, even though that's what I expect him to do in real life. I'm going to look at the options here. Russell Wilson, probably not. Marcus Mariota, I wouldn't mind if we were going to do a draft scenario and he was going to be the veteran starting beforehand, but I'm most likely not looking at that. Tyrod Taylor, same thing. Zach Wilson, no. And I'm just not going to list them all off. I'm going to go to my man. The man I dreamed about the Steelers drafting. I finally get him. Malik Willis. And I'm going to again say we're doing market value. He's getting I would pay him around $37 million a year, 3 years, and you do around $60 million guaranteed. It's a 2-year contract. You can get out of it after the second year. No harm, no foul.
Wow. I don't think he's getting half of that.
It's already been confirmed that people have already confirmed he is going to get upwards of $30 million in his contract. So, Malik Willis, that'll be the Steelers starting quarterback. And it's improvement on the offense, in my opinion, because it gives you something you can build for. Now, left tackle is something I want to bring up because Broderick Jones has not worked out. His fifth-year option is gigantic, and he may not even play next year as he's dealing with neck issues, which it's not something you want to risk. Looking at the left tackles here, you have Dylan Cook. I would go and get a Max Mitchell from the Jets. He's cheap, he's not going to cost a whole lot, and he has starter experience. So I would do him, market value. For the guard position, my rule really comes into play here because Joel Bitonio, he's going to have his third contract. I think it's actually his fourth contract, if I would be correct. Wyatt Teller, same thing. Mekhi Becton, same thing. James Daniels, Kevin Zeitler. And, I mean, Alex Kappa, he would be on his third contract, but I wouldn't sign him if he was on his first contract. There's a couple names that very much intrigue me here. Tevin Jenkins, David Edwards, Brady Christensen. And I'm going to scroll down here. And this is the guy... Oh, wait, no, he's at the top, I'm pretty sure. This is the guy I'd go with, Robert Jones. Because he is a Cowboy. He was in Mike McCarthy's system. He has experience with that. And he was overall fine, I would say, last year. I wouldn't say anything great or anything, but I look at this draft. It's got a lot of really good guard talent. Someone I would look to address in the mid-round picks. And I overall think the Steelers' offense line is a very good unit, so I'm not too worried about this. Any thoughts?
No, not at all.
Okay, gonna do that. And I'm going to look at one last thing before we move on. And that is linebackers. Because the Steelers, they will have need at linebackers still at the end of the day. Because I traded Patrick Queen, I cut Malik Harrison. There's going to be a need at linebacker no matter what. So I'm going to have to go down, I'm going to look at a bunch of guys. And the one name I really paused and I was like, ooh, I like that, was Nakobe Dean. But I just couldn't. Instead, I'm going to look at Leo Chanel, who I think is a very good player. I'll sign him to market value. He gives the Steelers some speed. He's a solid tackler. I think a big issue the Chiefs had with him was their defensive front really struggled, and it just really affected Leo Chanel. I think you give Leo Chanel, you tell him to run around the field and make stuff happen. I believe he'll do it just fine.
So are you not concerned with maybe picking up another running back in free agency with Gainwell?
I actually forgot about that. Thank you. Thank you for the save. Now, we're going cheap here. Just going cheap. There are a couple players I would look at here. I would look at a Dameon Pierce just because, well, I'm a little biased towards him, but still solid player, has solid abilities. Isaiah Pacheco was someone I thought about, but he doesn't really give you the burst, and that's something I'm looking at. I am going to go with Emmanuel Wilson from the Green Bay Packers. Someone we saw do not a whole lot last year, but when he played, he was good in the receiving game. He had some good burst, and that's a big thing I look at with the Mike McCarthy offense is, quite honestly, the fact he is more air raid than a lot of coaches, more air raid than Andy Reid. You need more running backs that can focus on the receiving game than running game, and that's something I think Emmanuel Wilson's strength is the receiving game.
Fair enough.
Okay. Now, that's going to wrap us up for the free agency portion. Let's jump into the draft. Okay, here we are at the draft portion, and I get to be the Steelers GM, and I get to actually have fun and take my team's picks that I can actually like instead of dread the entire time. Now, looking how the board fell, and it's a good thing I signed Raheem Heed as no real of the triple threat wide receiver came to me, which I kind of expect. So, looking at this, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to take my top player on the board here, Avion Terrell. Steelers need to address nickelback. He would be probably their best secondary player right away, and he's just a good, talented player. I got nothing else to add than I would love that. Now, here I am with the 53rd pick, and remember, we had the 60th pick from the Alex Highsmith trade. So, I'm going to look at this here, and I'm going to look for my wide receiver. I'm going to take Skylar Bell. Now, Skylar Bell, and I can't remember the exact measurements, has the hand size of one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. This wide receiver in the NFL has the largest hands for a wide receiver. Do you know who that is?
Not a close.
He's in the AFC North, if that helps.
Chase?
Jamar Chase. Wide receivers, usually with big hands, tend to be pretty good. So I'm going to take Skylar Bell here as one of my wide receivers. I add to a rebuilt receiving core. And here I am again with pick 60. Now, linebacker is definitely a need of everyone I shipped out. In Kyle Lewis, I do like here a good bit. But also, we have to address safety because we never replaced Jalen Ramsey. You look at Kamari Ramsey, unfortunately I have not watched a whole bunch of him. Genesis Smith, I like, but do I like him more than Lewis? And the answer is no. I actually quite like Kyle Lewis, hometown guy, stays in Pittsburgh. I think would be a very good player for them. And I really did love a lot of things I saw in his film. That dude loves to hit. That dude's a Steelers linebacker. So we're going to keep him in Pittsburgh. Now, pick 76. There's a lot of picks. I hope you're ready for a long time we're going to spend here. I see one of my draft darlings. I love Grayson Halton. I think he'll be very good in the NFL. I really loved every game I watched of his, especially against Alabama. His game against Alabama is why I have such a low grade on Caden Proctor, because he just abused him the entire time. Every time his match up against him, it was just abuse. So Grayson Halton here for the Steelers, good run defender, can give you some pass rush ability, but will ultimately strengthen your just front seven. Pick 85, still here, and this is where I'm going to take Keelan Rutledge. I mentioned it in the video prior, we're talking about the Seahawks, just Rutledge is overall a very solid, good guard. He has experience in that run downhill offense, so if you want to run it down people's throats, you do have that ability as he comes from Georgia Tech. But Georgia Tech is also a spread out team. You have to be a little bit quicker. You have to be mobile. Rutledge showcased that a lot at Georgia Tech. Pick 99, and here's where we go look for our safety. So we're going to go to the safety position group, and I think I have some disagreements how this is overall looked at. I want to point out Bud Clark here. Bud Clark got tremendously better from his first ever start. He was a solid tackler. He has 400 coverage snaps last year, 442 in 2024. He knows how to cover guys. He lined up a lot in the slot. He has some box roll. He has some deep roll. He is a player I would overall like to draft. So that's where we're going to go here with pick 99 is Bud Clark, the TCU safety. Pick 121. like I said, I hope you're in for a long run. Now, this is right around the range. I'd maybe start looking at quarterbacks. Like, if there's a guy here I like, but there just isn't right now. So we're going to look at the running back position. I don't get how this guy is so low on people's boards. And maybe this is an overdraft. People could criticize, whatever. I watched way too much Cal film in the last offseason to watch Fernando Mendoza, as I was excited to see how he would do at Indiana. I also saw a lot of Jaden Ott there. Oklahoma had a horrible offensive line that really limited his ability to do anything. Jaden Ott just blew me away when I watched his Cal film, and you watch him in Oklahoma, and you can clearly see a lot of the issues there are the offense line. So we're going to take Jaden Ott here and just overall bank on that Cal film. Pick 135. Yep. Again, like, listen, people, the Steelers have a lot of draft picks, and I'm not really trading, even though maybe there's some moments, if this wasn't on super fast, I would have moved up in the first round and would have moved up in the second round, but we got all these picks. We're going to use them and rebuild this team. I'm going to take Nadami Tucker. Again, I'm just going to pull up some PFF looks here. Just get snap rate. 316 pass rush snaps, 250 rush defense snaps, 14 sacks, 6 hits, 41 hurries. He lined up a lot on the outside tackle position, which is where the Steelers like to line up their edges a lot. Maybe it's different Patrick Graham's defense. I don't know yet. But Nadami Tucker, I think, is just a good player you can use to bring in because you trade away Alex Highsmith in a scenario. He gives you some more depth. If you want to rotate out TJ Watt, you have Jack Sawyer, who I'm still not the biggest fan of him as a pass rusher, but you can rotate Sawyer in, you can rotate Tucker in, and you can also keep Herbig and Watt fresher. Going down to pick 159. Now, I'm looking at a couple players here. Logan Jones, Bo Stevens, not my bad. I'm going to take Logan Jones here because I would like to have a very good backup center because Frazier, I believe, is a very phenomenal center, but if he gets hurt, you need somebody who can be reliable. He comes from the Iowa offensive line factory. They know how to develop their guys. This is a guy I very much will end up expecting the Bears to take because he just kind of screams their offense. I like Logan Jones a lot, though, and I'm willing to bet on him. And here we go to the 6 rounds. We have back-to-back hits. So I'm going to make this very quickly. Heidenreich, Steelers need a fullback. Done. And I'm taking Robert Henry Jr. here from UTSA. I'm double dipping at the running back position overall because the Steelers can afford to. The running back I brought in, not going to do much. Emmanuel Wilson, it's a take it or leave it. He's not signed to a lot. You can cut him if he doesn't make the 53-man roster. You look at this team who could use just running back talent, someone you can find that can maybe be a diamond in the rough. Robert Henry Jr., in my opinion, fits that. Now, I get to really look at some people here that I wouldn't necessarily expect to be on the board. Because I'm looking at Taylor Green and Cole Payton. Taylor Green, if he could throw the football better, he had better motion, I think a big part of his issues is his arm motion, we would be drooling over him with all of his traits. He's 6'6", can run quick. Cole Payton from NDSU, bigger body, doesn't have a whole lot of playing experience, but looked overall very good in his reps at NDSU. It's a 7th round pick. My brain tells me Cole Payton would be the more logical pick, but it's a 7th rounder. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Take the higher upside guy in Taylor Green. At least you can use him in some fun rush offensive schemes. And we're going to use the same logic here as Eric Gentry is on the board. Now, how much of Eric Gentry do you know about?
Not much.
So, if I am correct, okay, I am. This is him. He is 6'6", 225 pounds at the linebacker position. He maybe should have been a basketball wing, but that's something that just fascinates me so much. I want to draft him and see how it works, so that's what we're going with. There's question on his film, absolutely. But we look at the Steelers draft. With how I work the offseason, this is with what I would look at. Terrell is one of my favorite players this entire draft. Skylar Bell is one of my favorite wide receivers. Kyle Lewis, I think, is a linebacker that can very much grow into himself in the NFL level, and he's a very good tackler. Grayson Halton, if he's available there in the third round, take him. I like him so much I'd consider taking him in the second round. Same thing with Rutledge. Bud Clark, an overdraft for a lot of people. I liked his ability to line up in the slot. I think he showed some good coverage ability there. Jaden Ott, that Calvin was doing a lot of work there. Nadami Tucker, good edge depth, can rotate. Logan Jones, a guy that you can work with and develop into a good backup backup center. Maybe you'll slide into guard at some point if you need to. Heidenreich, by far the best fullback in this draft, just by far. Robert Henry Jr., a risky running back take that's not so risky as a 6th-round pick. And same thing with Taylor Green, Eric Gentry. They are high upside picks that don't really have much blow up in your face potential.
So a couple questions I have.
Okay.
First off, let's go with Heinrich. How often does Mike McCarthy use a fullback?
He weirdly uses a lot of it in goal line packages.
Okay, but that's the only time. And so usually those players will have another role as well. So I look at this, and you literally drafted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
13.
11, 12, 13 players. How many of these players legitimately do you think make the team?
I would say 11.
That's and you're also talking practice squad, correct?
No, I'm talking just 53-man roster because the Steelers are so old. They are one of the oldest teams in the league that these draft picks need to be used to make them younger. They are old and slow. That is not how you win the NFL. Maybe some of these picks don't work out. That's fine. But at the very least, you got to try here. You got to try and make it work because you just got abused by the Texans. You've been abused in the playoffs for so many years in a row. Why? Because you have older teams that can't keep up. You need that splash of youth. And this is the best chance you have to really integrate youth into your roster. Now, maybe you trade some picks, you move up and all that. I'm all for that. But I look at this as just the best opportunity to fix the biggest issue that this team has had for a long time.
Okay. I would personally have looked at this like they had all of this draft capital, and they could have, packaged some of these deals to move up and get some maybe players that are impact players in the like the 4th and the 5th round. So that's just why I was asking.
Okay. That's going to wrap us up, though. This was a fun experiment. If you want to check out the Seahawks version, that was uploaded beforehand. It's in the end credit scenes with the outro if you want to check that out. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. Share this, please. Share the Steelers fans. Get out there. Showcase with what this genius from Billings, Montana thinks of this team and how he would go about correcting it. And overall, I hope you all enjoy free agency. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day, everyone.